MWC is an information overload galore. Now that we've covered the main announcements and we have them out the gate, we spent some extra time with one of the stars of the show, the Xperia XZ Premium. Our initial reaction was that this phone would rise or fall based on two things, its screen and its camera. We were super excited by seeing the first phone with Snapdragon 835, but we weren't allowed to test that, so that performance will be out of the focus of this article. The 4K HDR mobile screen is the first of its kind. To be clear, this is not the first 4K screen. That honor goes to the Xperia Z5 Premium. It is not the first HDR screen either. That was, briefly, the Note 7. It's the combination of the two that is novel. HDR content, however, is still hard to come by unless you use the subscription-based video streaming services by Netflix or Amazon. Even then, you have to keep an eye on the supported standards, because as things stand right now, there are two competing HDR video standards, HDR10 and Dolby Vision, and the XZ Premium only supports the former. The Motion Eye camera with 960 fps slow-mo video is another first of its kind. There's nothing on a phone that comes close to it. Most top out at 240 fps, and its other tricks are similarly unique, namely photos free of rolling shutter and predictive capture. Unfortunately, the final answers will have to wait for a final unit. Any tests we run on this pre-production unit may not hold for the release hardware and software. So we'll leave the tests for later. For now we'll focus on our first impressions instead. Yes, we said screen and camera, but we can't overlook their packaging. To its credit, Sony delivered on this Xperia flagship legacy. The phone is waterproof, IP68, it comes with the latest Gorilla Glass, 5th gen, and it has S-Force front surround, aka stereo speakers. Still, the unofficial motto of the 2017 Mobile World Congress was bezels be gone. Even Sony's own Xperia XA1 Duo boasts a borderless edge-to-edge screen. And yet the XZ Premium has bezels in spades. It's even slightly bigger than its very own predecessor, the Z5 Premium. When 4K TVs started hitting the scene, people didn't know how to feel about them. The previous jump, from SD to FHD, was eye-opening. It stunned viewers with its clarity. Going from 1080p to 4K mostly caused shrugged shoulders, as we saw diminishing returns from the increase in resolution. Then HDR came about and a consensus quickly formed. The wider dynamic range actually made it worthwhile to upgrade your old 1080p TV. Sure, content is rare, but it's multiplying. Just think, soon you'll be able to watch night scenes that are not black on black and high contrast scenes that aren't washed out. And here's the thing, HDR is separate from size. While we could sit and argue for hours if the 4K resolution is worth it on a tiny 5.5-inch screen, an HDR image is clearly better than an SDR image. Highlights and shadows are rendered better, gradients are smoother, colors are more abundant. For one, Sony dropped the resolution down to 19MP but retained the same physical dimensions of their previous 24MP f/.3 sensors, and as a result, pixels got 19% bigger. We applaud this move because daylight photography with phones is a solved problem, but low-light shots remains an issue. And the Premium still has the edge on other phones that hover around 12MP to keep pixels large. You may think that Sony should have gone for a brighter aperture, it's f/2.0. However, the Google Pixels showed that f/2.0 aperture is enough for a best-in-class low-light photography, no matter what Samsung and LG PRs say. The proof is in the pudding, though. We'll see if the XZ Premium can match the Pixels, which also use a Sony sensor, by the way. We feel like we just scratched the surface of the Sony Xperia XZ Premium, figuratively speaking, of course. Back to the screen and camera. As you may have gathered, we're surprised Sony is missing out on the VR market with that 4K screen. We think there's a lot of overlap between people willing to buy an expensive flagship phone with world's first features and early adopters, the type of people likely to buy VR. The Motion Eye camera is more exciting. Maybe in late 2017, maybe in 2018, new flagships will offer these features that we first saw in the Xperia XZ Premium and XZs. However, as we've seen many times, being first isn't the same as being the one that reaps in the profits. Sony Xperia XZ Premium hands-on. Sony needs a win. Sony deserves a win. Will the Xperia XZ Premium score the winning goal? Or will it become a boutique item, behind in sales to the XZs? We're not ready to answer those questions just yet. Still, our early adopter hearts rejoice at the future painted by the XZ Premium, the future rendered in a high dynamic range and 960 frames per second.